There is an ordinance that says you cannot have chickens in the city of Rome.
What are your initial thoughts about the ban on chickens?
I think it's rather amusing.
My thoughts on the ban, I think it's kind of silly.
Well,
You go first.
let me think about what the best way to start that is.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Making movies. Pretty good.
My name is Sue Hamler-Lee. I'm a retired educator, and I have been serving on the Rome City Commission. This will be my 7th year. If you're going to have any chickens, if you're allowed to have them, you can only have 5. You cannot have a rooster, but it's illegal to have them without a special use permit. What that does, in my opinion, that keeps it from just basically anybody having them. One of the big ones that I voted against had to do with the footage of your property. 30 to me is almost an elitist vote. I think they're saying, oh yeah, you could have them, but you gotta have 30, which is like saying no, you can't have them. And we came up with, well, 10% of the acreage or lots in Rome are the only ones who have the 30,000. So the other 90% we're just out of luck.
I'm Chris Lewis, living here in West Rome with...
I'm Erin.
Yeah. So we got our chickens in September of 2009, and for 3 years had no problems until our next door neighbor, under pressure from her daughter, she turned a complaint in on us. And I said, well, the only remedy is a special use permit.
It means they don't have to grant you the permit even if you meet all of them, or they could grant you the permit if you don't meet some of them.
So, we lost by 1 vote. But
4 to 5. 4 people voted in favor of us, even though we did not meet the requirement of the land.
Yeah, they don't ever really intend to give anybody a special use permit for chickens in this town. They just put it in there to try to calm the situation down and to create a justification for, not giving the majority of us permits.
Oh boy.
I'm Jack Olson. I was a philosophy major at Berry. I now run Seasons Harvest Farm. I wanted to keep chickens primarily for the experience. I intend to be in developmental work teaching for most of my life, and I've never done it, so I figured it's time to get my hands dirty, jump in. Of the animals we considered, chickens were clearly the most convenient. Least work. We still wanted to be able to go away for the weekends, and there aren't many other animals you can do that with. And we do also like eggs. I figured it is definitely cheaper to get eggs this way than to get them straight from the store.
Are they difficult to take care of in this kind of environment?
Not at all. No. After I got everything set up, I'll check on them once every other day or so, grab the eggs, and I can leave them be for up to a week without looking at them at all. Yeah, most of my daily routine, when it does happen, involves me walking out the back door. Looking over here, I can see the level of the food from the door, and I put the stick into the water bucket so I can see the level of the water from the door. Provided they're both still good, I walk back inside.
It was really easy to keep them in the backyard because we had a portable coop called a chicken tractor that you can move. You can move it every day if you want, every few days, and then they have fresh grass. We would let them out, and then they could run around the yard, and we were supervising them. So that was all pretty easy. And then, chicken food is inexpensive, so it was great to be able to just, it's cheaper than keeping, I think, a cat or a dog.
Oh, they're hungry.
So there's all this food waste at the food pantry. It could very easily be consumed by chickens. Instead, it gets thrown into a compost and doesn't ever really become good compost. But if we could feed chickens with that, then the chickens would be eating bugs around the garden and in the orchard. They would be disposing of wasted food. They would be fed. We wouldn't have to spend money on feed, and we would have protein in the form of eggs to put into the food pantry. The other part of this is, if people had the ability to raise a few chickens, a few hens in their backyard, then they would be also alleviating the burden on the food pantry.
When I was a child, we lived in town, but Dad plowed up both yards and we had a garden and chickens. And it was a part of America that we understood, and it seems like sustainability to be able to help ourselves in difficult economic times. This is an issue that could be very meaningful for families.
So to me, one of the most important things about having these animals is that my kids see firsthand how to raise food, how to raise animals, how to respect animals, and how to be thoughtful in that regard.
We get so far away from what basically is happening. We buy the eggs at the store and that's it, and where do they come from and all that.
We homeschool the kids, and so, you know, you're right.
I made a log of how many eggs they laid each day.
Yeah, right. Bar graphs and that kind of thing, observations about their behaviors, all that kind of stuff.
But to say that chickens are noisy and they're dirty and they carry diseases, it's just not right.
There was it 4 diseases that
I
can
think so.
transfer, they're contagious from fowl or poultry to humans. Contrast that with how many?
Over 20 for cats and dogs.
It is pretty ridiculous. I mean, if I had a dog, everybody would know it. But I have chickens and nobody does. And I think that there probably should be requirements on restraint. Mm-hmm. But particularly in this setting, and most settings, chickens can't fly more than 4 foot up most of the time. Mm-hmm. And so if you've got a fence, you're fine. They're not going anywhere. Mm-hmm.
To learn about ourselves, it helps to learn about animals. And chickens are no different.
I think we should allow a few chickens. I mean, you can have sensible regulations to ensure you don't end up with some nasty, chicken factory next door, but you can have a few hens and it's not going to bother anyone. And honestly, I think it would be beneficial to the community in general. Little kids can come over and help feed. If any of the neighbors had food waste, they could just send it over there instead of throwing it in a landfill and releasing methane into the air. Feed that stuff to those chickens, and then maybe the neighbors would give you eggs in return. So I think it can create good community relations also.
I have a genuine interest in not only the animals themselves, but the effects that they can have on people.
Backyard chickens.